Hi, I'm Tiangela and I'm an author, and this is the latest book that I've written, What I Learned from Watching the True Crime ID channel, and it's a book with stories loosely based on true crime from the series that I watch on the ID channel, which is one of my favorite channels to watch. So I'm going to go into detail so you know what this book is about. What I learned from watching the True Crime ID channel. Now, this is the latest book that I have written, and it took me quite some time to write it because I was constantly watching the series on the ID channel, which is one of my favorite channels to watch on TV. Every time they have something new coming out, I can't wait to watch the series because I know they're gonna be good. So with watching the series, a lot of thoughts would pop in my mind of how to protect myself if I was ever in one of those predicaments that people find themselves in. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna jot the information down and put it in a book so that other people will learn what I've learned, and hopefully we can protect ourselves from any psychopaths that come our way. So these are over 30 stories that I have written based on the true crime that I've seen. And I'm telling you, these are some exciting stories. You can see a variety of different ones. You know, you think you have a friend, but is it actually a fiend that you have? Different things about the male audacities and atrocities, because when you watch the series, come on, we all know that 99% of the time men are the one who are committing the crime. So these are a variety of different things. The hunter killing, boyfriend killer. I'm not going to go into all of them because you have to buy the book to read these different stories and what I've learned. Crazy lady, don't say his name. And one of these stories came actually close to home. Let me see if I can find it, because I was watching the ID channel, Irreverent Reverend, this one. I was actually watching the ID channel and I saw something that looked familiar to me, and it was in a area that I lived, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that this happened to the girl. So I'm going to go into that in details in a little later. And again, here are some other stories. The woman who likes to say yes to everyone, the handsome stranger, man who tried to kill his ex-wife, but did he actually do it? I guess I'll have to read the book to find out. And when it comes to money, teenage boy and his inheritance, teenager telling friends about family money, rich friend, poor friend. And so it's just a lot of stories that I just kept writing. It's like I couldn't stop writing. The stories came pouring out. And so I know you're going to enjoy this book. Hopefully you do. So this is how I wrote the book. Like, I put the story, several pages. And then at the end of the story, then I will say what I've learned or information I think that you should know. And it goes like that for all the stories. So now I'm going to tell you the story of how Irreverent Reverend came about. So one day I was home watching the ID channel as usual, and I saw church come on. And I think it was on one of their series called Nightmare Next Door. And this church came on, and I'm like, wait a minute. I see several people in that church that I know because I used to go to the church a few years ago because I'd moved out of the area. And I think they showed the pastor's wife and the pastor. And I was like, oh my gosh, what happened? Because I just went to the church a few years ago. So the thing is that a girl in the 90s, like the late 1990s, she went to the church, and I guess her vehicle ran out of gas. And she took a ride from a man in a church van, and he killed her and dumped her body in the area where I used to live. And I was so shocked and saddened by that it happened to her. And I'm like, why can't men just see a woman and leave her alone? Just help the woman, leave her alone so she can go back home. And the thing is that in that area where it happened, like I said, long before I even moved into the area. But When I lived in that area, I didn't have a vehicle. And when I would go shopping, walking with the grocery bags, and a couple of times I did take a ride from strangers who asked me, men who asked me if I wanted a ride home. And I'm like, yep. And I'm telling you, if a church man in a church van had stopped and asked me if I wanted a ride home, I would have said yes. And I would have accepted the ride because I normally hope that when I accept a ride, nothing bad will happen. And thank God it never did. So I was always able to get home safely. But I'm not going to lie to you. A man in a church van, because people are wicked and evil. But it's like when you see church, you tend to forget. And just like she got in the van, I'm sure I would have gotten in that van and taken a ride with that person. But I'm glad that we never crossed paths. And I believe the man is on death row now, so he can't do that to another person. And so that is the story of how Irreverent Reverend came about in my book. Now, I didn't write the exact thing because my stories are loosely based on true crime. So you'll have to get the book so you can find out what happened to the girl in the story of Irreverent Reverend that I wrote, and read some of the other stories as well, because they're very interesting, and you'll enjoy also the information that I put, that what you can learn, because these are cautionary tales of what I put in the book. And so again, it's this book, What I Learned from Watching the True Crime ID channel. In this incredible world that we live in, one thing is very relentless is evil, which lurks around every corner, waiting to attack an available victim. Are you next? And what would you do? So buy the book and give me a review, and please support me. Thank you.